I think a lot of us make turkey harder than what it needs to be. And I think part of the problem is that we go into it without a plan. So if you ever had a turkey that came out dry, it came out uneven, and quite frankly disappointing, I don't think that means that you're a bad cook. It means that no one has ever given you the process. No one has ever given you the game plan, the steps you need to take to be successful. So in today's video, I ain't holding nothing back, y'all. I'm gonna give you the entire turkey game start to finish. And I'm confident if you take and apply what we talk about today, you're gonna be able to prepare a turkey that looks and tastes amazing, and your friends and family are gonna absolutely love it. So if that sounds good to you, then let's dive in. Hey, welcome back to the channel. My name is Keith, and I'm sure glad you stopped by today. Like we just talked about, y'all, in this video, we're walking through the entire turkey process from beginning to end, so you never have to guess again. We'll cover turkey selection, prep, seasoning, fire setup, temperature management, and how to finish the cook without overthinking anything. When you understand how these steps work together, the turkey process becomes simple and repeatable. Everything we discuss today is going to follow the same flow as our Thanksgiving turkey game plan. This is our digital guide you can download to assist with your cook. We'll talk more about that later, but for now, let's get started choosing the right bird. Good turkey begins long before you light the grill. Choosing the right turkey is one of the most important decisions you'll make for this cook. Size matters because a turkey that's too large can affect airflow, placement, and how evenly your grill runs. Birds in the 12 to 15 pound range tend to fit in most backyard grills and cook more predictably. If you want a deeper breakdown on solution percentages, labeling, and how to match your turkey to your grill size, we put together a full-length dedicated video that walks you through everything. We'll drop a link in the description below so you can go watch it after this video. For now, focus on choosing a turkey that fits your grill and the style of cook you want to run. Most of the turkeys we buy from the store are going to be frozen or partially frozen, even when the label says fresh. This is where a lot of us go wrong because we underestimate how long it takes to thaw a bird completely. A safe refrigerator thaw takes several days, and the larger your turkey is, the longer you need to plan. A good rule of thumb is to give yourself at least 3 to 6 days depending on the size of your turkey. If we try to thaw out a turkey in 1 or 2 days before our cook, we will almost always end up with ice crystals in the joints and uneven thawing. That leads to uneven cooking, longer cook times, and a lower quality final result. If your refrigerator runs cold or you need a controlled way to make sure the ice is fully out of the bird, you can always use a cooler filled with cold water. Place the packaged turkey into the cooler and make sure it stays fully submerged in cold water. The goal is simply to keep the turkey under the water and refresh the cold water as needed so it thaws evenly and safely. Once the turkey is thawed, remove it from the packaging and pull out the neck, the giblet bag, and anything else inside the cavity. Some birds have an extra bag hidden deep inside, so always check both openings. And after giving the turkey a good rinse, always remember to thoroughly pat the skin dry so it can tighten and render during the cook. This is also the point where we need to finalize our decision to cook the turkey whole or spatchcock it. A whole turkey is traditional, but the breasts and thighs often finish at different times and require more fire management. Spatchcocking removes the backbone and lays the bird flat so everything cooks more evenly and the cook becomes easier to manage. For this cook, we're spatchcocking this bird because it helps the breast and dark meat finish closer together and gives us more control over airflow. Once the turkey is shaped and the skin is dry, we can move into seasoning and building our flavor profile. Our turkey is already spatchcocked and fully dried, so now we can start building our flavor. Let's begin with a light coat of extra virgin olive oil on both sides to add some richness to our skin and give our seasoning another layer to grab onto. Once the skin is oiled, let's lay down our dry seasoning so it touches every part of the bird, from the front to the back. For this cook, we're using Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning along with their Creole butter injectable. We've had great success with this combination for fried turkey over the years, so we wanted to bring that same signature flavor profile into our grilled and smoked turkey this season. Creole seasoning gives us salt, garlic, herbs, and a little heat, and the injectable adds depth and moisture inside the turkey. A lot of folks wet brine or dry brine their turkey to help flavor penetrate deeper into the meat. We're accomplishing the same thing with an injectable because it gives us fast, reliable results without the extra steps of a full brine. For this cook, we're using the entire container of Creole butter, and we're going to inject it in a grid pattern across the entire bird, from the breast to the thighs, the legs, and the wings, so the flavor settles evenly throughout the turkey. We're applying our rub first and injecting afterward because injecting early can cause the liquid to push outward and disturb the seasoning layer. Injecting through the rub keeps everything intact and allows the dry seasoning to stay exactly where we placed it. For this cook, we season and inject it the night before because it gives the salt time to work and lets the flavor settle into the skin and meat. If you decide to season early, be mindful of the type of rub you use because spicy blends can become more intense as they sit overnight. Adjust the heat level based on how much time you plan to let your turkey rest in the refrigerator. Once our seasoning and injection are complete, we're ready to let this turkey sit on the counter for about 20 to 30 minutes so the surface can settle and the chill can come off the bird. The short rest gives us plenty of time to get our coals ready and start building our fire for a clean 2-zone setup. For today's cook, we're using our char griller Smokin champ because it gives us a wider cooking chamber than our Weber 22-inch kettle. The kettle can definitely get the job done, but the larger chamber of the Smokin champ gives us more space around the turkey and helps us maintain steady convection airflow from one side of the grill to the other. This makes it easier to keep our heat balanced and consistent throughout the entire cook. Let's get started by lighting one full chimney of Kingsford Original briquettes. This will be the base layer of our coal bed, and it gives us a clean and reliable source of heat to start the cook. Once the chimney shows all the signs that the coals are ready, let's pour them out and build our 2-zone indirect setup. In a 2-zone setup, we always place our coals on the opposite side of the exhaust stack so the heat travels across the food before exiting the grill. After the coals are arranged, let's place the drip pan underneath where the turkey will sit. The drip pan helps keep our grill clean and catches any drippings that fall during the cook. With our coals set, grill grates cleaned and lubricated, and drip pan in place, let's go ahead and get the lid closed so the Smokin champ can come up to temperature. For the start of this cook, we're going to run both the intake and exhaust vents wide open so the grill can stabilize and the coals can breathe. Once the grill comes up to temperature, we'll be ready to bring out the turkey and get it on the grill. Now that our Smokin champ is up to temperature, we can bring the turkey out to the grill. We've got the turkey on a metal pizza pan because it gives us full control in rotating the bird and keeps the skin intact. Let's position the dark meat closest to the fire so it gets the extra heat it needs to finish at the same time as the breast. We set one probe from our Typhor Sync Gold Dual Wireless Thermometer deep inside the thickest part of the breast and another probe into the thigh. This lets us track the white meat and the dark meat in real time while also giving us ambient readings inside the grill. We'll also be using our ThermoPro wired dual thermometer to give us an independent grate level temperature, so we'll always know how the fire is behaving from multiple angles. Once the turkey is positioned and our probes are set, we can take a moment to build out the rest of our fuel bed. Let's add a layer of lumped charcoal on top of the Kingsford briquettes to give us a slow and steady burn, similar to a minion method. On top of that, we'll place a couple of chunks of pecan and a chunk of apple wood to give us a clean, mild smoke profile that works well with poultry. With the turkey placed on the cool side, the probes in position, and our wood chunks added, let's close this lid and let the grill do its thing. This is where fire management becomes the key to staying steady, and that's what we'll discuss next. All right, y'all, we just got our turkey on the grill. Now it's important that we stay locked in, right? Because we're about to enter into the grill management phase, the fire management phase, so we need to stay locked in. And what I mean by locked in, there's a mindset we have to have as we enter this phase. We don't want to just be reactionary. We want to stay ahead of this grill, stay ahead of this cook. So there's a mindset we need to have, and there's a strategy that we need to have as we manage this fire and we manage this grill. All right, y'all, we're about 5 to 10 minutes into this cook. And what I'm doing right now, I'm just looking over here at my exhaust stack, reading my smoke. And that smoke is nice and clean. And one thing to keep in mind, clean smoke is gonna give you a clean flavor. So what does that tell me? That means our fuel, the layering we've done with our fuel, our lump charcoal, our briquettes, the wood, all that's burning nice and clean. That means we have adequate air going to this fire, and we're looking real good right now. We're using electronics today, and that helps us track breast temp, thigh temp, and grate level temperatures. But if you've been around the channel for a while, you know our style is old school. We love grilling by feel and using our instincts around here. And we don't solely depend on electronics to get a good cook. If you think about it, electronics helps us communicate what's going on inside the grill, and they're a great learning tool, but they're not a requirement. Use them if you have them, but don't let them replace developing your own awareness of how your grill behaves. You'll notice we're not adding any extra moisture to the grill today. We didn't add any water to our drip pan, and we're not spritzing. If you think about it, we've already injected the turkey, and that is more than enough to keep it moist. Too much moisture inside the chamber will soften that skin. That leads to rubbery, chewy skin, and we want this skin to render and tight. If you want to see what too much humidity does to poultry skin, I'll drop a link to a video we did cooking some chicken leg quarters in an electric smoker. For today's cook, we're not chasing a perfect number when it comes to the temperature inside the grill. We want the grill running above 300 degrees Fahrenheit because that helps the skin render. But whether we're at 330 or 360, we're not really concerned with that, and we're not going to choke the vents and fight the grill down just to maintain a number. What we care about most here is evenness. We want to see that breast and that thigh come up to temperature together so we finish at the same time. There are three things we want to stay on top of during this cook: the internal temperature of the breast, the internal temperature of the thigh, and the overall trend of the internal temperature inside the grill. Not the exact number per se, but the trend. Is the grill slowly drifting down in temperature? Is it holding steady in temperature? Or is it starting to run away in temperature? Having an understanding of these measurements is going to keep us ahead of the fire. This cook usually takes around 2.5 to 3 hours depending on the size of your bird. Around the hour mark, you may see your temperature start to fall off, and that's completely normal. When that happens, we can come in and add more fuel. Today, we're adding lump charcoal during the cook because it gives us a clean burn, lights quicker than briquettes, and gives us the boost we need to ramp the fire back up. Now, if the skin color is looking light and we want to add a little bit more depth, we can always add another chunk of wood. But keep in mind, early in the cook is when the turkey absorbs the most smoke, so be careful not to go overboard with the wood. One more thing we're watching today is the wind. It's a windy day out here, and wind can rob your grill of heat. That's one of the reasons I went a little heavy on the fuel at the start. Thankfully, the wind's not blowing directly into the intake vent, but this is something we need to keep an eye on, because if wind is hitting your intake, that can definitely have an impact on your grill's temperature. The biggest thing we need to keep in mind out here is to stay patient and let the grill do its job. We don't need to lift the lid over and over again just to see what's going on. We don't need to chase the grill. We need to flow with the fire and don't fight it. Let the turkey ride, trust our instincts, watch our readings, and make small adjustments when they're needed. Once our breast reaches around 160 degrees Fahrenheit and the thigh reaches about 170 degrees Fahrenheit, we're in the window to pull this turkey off the grill. Those internal numbers matter, but that's only half the story. The other half is the feel and appearance of the bird, and judging that takes some instinct. Before we pull the turkey, let's check the skin. We want the skin rendered, not rubbery. It should feel firm, not soft. The color should be rich and even with no pale or soggy patches. If the skin still looks soft or pale in a few areas, we can let it go a little longer if needed, because fully rendered skin is part of a properly finished turkey. Once we get the turkey off the grill, we can let carryover cooking do its job. The internal temperatures will continue rising for a few minutes as the heat equalizes. If the breast lands at 165 degrees Fahrenheit after carryover cooking, we're right where we want to be. And because this turkey is injected, we do have a little margin. The breast can go a little bit higher without drying out. We can't forget about the joints of the turkey. A turkey doesn't pull apart like a chicken leg quarter, but the joints should feel relaxed, not stiff. If the leg joint still feels tight or overly resistant, we know it needs a bit more time, and we can put it back on the grill or tin it with foil. When tinning with foil, we've got to keep the steam minimal so we don't soften the skin. Another sign the turkey is ready is the surface texture. The skin should have a light crust when you brush your fingers across it. Keep in mind, this isn't a fried turkey, but smoked poultry should still have structure. That little bit of crisp tells us the fat has rendered properly. It's good practice to always verify temperatures with an instant read thermometer in multiple spots, but instincts matter too. The look of the skin, the looseness of the joints, the color, and the surface feel are all part of knowing when the turkey is truly done. After confirming everything, let's let the turkey rest for about 20 minutes to let the juices settle. This is going to give us clean and juicy slices. This is the moment where we get rewarded for working our process and managing our fire well throughout the entire cook. Now let's talk about this turkey. Man, this turkey turned out absolutely amazing. These breasts are super juicy, and the dark meat came out rich, tender, and full of flavor. The skin rendered well too. When we sliced into it, everything stayed moist and held together beautifully. After the cook, we went ahead and broke the turkey down into a tray of white meat and a tray of dark meat. That gave us a lot of flexibility for meals. We ended up eating this turkey with some pinto beans and a few turkey necks the next day, and that combination was absolutely incredible. We also took some of the leftovers, made turkey salad for lunch, and even worked some of it into a jambalaya later on that evening. And let me tell you, man, this bird stretched far for our large family of 10. So when you cook a turkey the right way, it is one of the most versatile proteins you can have in the fridge. And with these turkeys being on sale right now, I'm probably going back to the store to stash a couple more in the freezer, because when you have a reliable method for cooking turkey like this, it becomes something you can do throughout the entire year and not just on holidays. If you want to follow this same process step by step, we put together the Thanksgiving turkey game plan. It walks you through the entire process we discussed today, and it's designed to help you get the same result at home. You can grab it using the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching Daddy DIY Grilling. Until next time, grill boldly, serve proudly, and enjoy the process. I want to give a big shout out to our channel members. It's because of your generous support that we're able to keep creating and sharing these grilling resources. You're a huge part of this community, and we couldn't do it without you.